It may only be January 5th, but I think I've already read one of the best issues of 2026. Howdy, howdy, American Texan here, and I love comic books, specifically the stories, the art inside. We'll let other channels deal with the drama that's online. We want to talk about the stories, what we like, what we don't like, and actually take a look inside the books. I do buy physical, but hey, if you buy digital, nothing against you on that. If you want to talk more about comics and nerd out about them together, by all means, subscribe. And at any point, if you like what I have to say, drop a like as well. That helps the channel grow. Last week was New Year's Eve, and there wasn't too many comic books coming out. In fact, I only got one indie for the week, and that is Escape. We'll talk about that in a second. So I did do some catch-up reading, finished a few more series, and caught up to some indies that were sitting on my stack. So let's go over to the table and look at what I read, as well as the top 3 recommendations for the week. So here is our stack of comic books that we read this week. Nothing too big, but definitely a standout top 3 that I can't wait to share. Starting with Escape number 5 by Rick Remender and Daniel Acuna. This one, I was hoping for another action issue here because we got really big action in issue 3 and then more talking in issue 4. But this one, the action was more in the setup, the drama that's happening, because you've got the Nazi bats finding the home of the family that's housing our main character in secret, and they have to interrogate them. And it's a little bit of that trope where they're not letting off more than they know. So they're interested in why things are set up the way they are. And then they find the character and he finally gets his way out, and then some more action shows up at the end. Not the strongest issue, definitely issue 3 I think was the strongest issue, but it is good. We're getting a little bit of action, then talking, then action, then talking, then action. This was a little more talking and action, but still a very interesting series. I'm not enjoying it, I think, as much as other people are, but still a good read. I think overall it will be a fantastic story. Also this week, I caught up on the new Youngblood by Rob Liefeld, and I have no idea what's going on, but I'm enjoying it, and I'm totally fine with that in a comic book. We've got the Youngblood team here really getting into action, and then the Supreme team shows up, which I guess is the Superman character. I don't know who any of these people are. In fact, when I started reading, I thought his name was Youngblood, and I realize now that that's Shaft. But yeah, I mean, really good action here. I think some people would call it superhero slop. I'm calling it a good time. And so this one has some really good action and some stakes. There's some stakes here. I like this vertical page here. That was a really great show off there. It was like holding a piece of art in my hands. So it was very good. I just wish I knew a little bit more what's going on. I'm a little hesitant to dive into a new universe. I had no idea this was like a whole universe, but it is interesting. So if it continues to pique my interest, I might go deep into the extreme. I also finally finished Huck Big Bad World. This is issue 6, the finale issue of the 2nd volume by Mark Millar and Raphael Albuquerque. And let me tell you, I used to think Mark Millar could do no wrong. I finally have an ending I don't care for. This one, while it did have some feelings, I don't agree with how it ended. It gave a little bit of a too convenient ending. There's a character introduced that really hasn't been brought up much this volume. And it just kind of shows up and everything just kind of wraps itself up in a nice little bow. And I just did not care for that. It does give a little bit of a sweet ending as well, a very positive, optimistic message. It's just, for me, the rug is pulled out by that ending that I just didn't care for. Huck Big Bad World, still great. It's still a great series. I just did not care for the ending there as well. Still going to keep it for my Miller collection, but overall, we'll see. We'll see where it goes from here. And Savage Sword of Conan Reforged, caught up on this one with issue 2. Love this. Sat down with a cup of coffee and just enjoyed this for like 45 minutes. This one is a story I wasn't too familiar with. This is what is it called? The Iron Man of Iron Man made of iron. Really gorgeous classic art, and the coloring did not take away from that art. There you go, the Devil in Iron. And so this was a great story here. Just beautiful big page layouts. Lots of great coloring. Surprisingly not in my top 3, but definitely an honorable mention. And so, I don't know who a lot of these characters are. I don't know where a lot of the locations are, if that stuff means anything. But the action, once you get into it with part 2 here, that really picks up and is very interesting. And the coloring is great. And yeah, no editing to the story. Again, there was another part in here where I thought, wow, cannot believe they kept that in. But that's good. So, Sword of Conan Reforged. Great read, continuing to be a great read.
again, with the caveat that if you care about your quality of comics, they really did not do a good job of picking a cover on this one. So it is a bit dinged up already just from one light reading session. And on to my top three. I've got Wrestle Heist. I got this a week late from my LCS, but this is by Kyle Starks and illustrated by Kyle Starks as well. I did not realize he wrote and drew. And this is a wrestle story about a wrestler who is not retiring, but he's leaving the company to go to the competitor company. And the Vince McMahon type character, his name is Golden Buddy or something like that, basically sabotages him and injures him. And so he cannot the main character cannot wrestle. He's kind of like forcefully retired, can't go to the new company because he's too injured. And that's unfortunate. So we find out at the very end that he's going to try to rob the wrestle company that stole from him or that injured him and, ruined his career. Very cute in the way some of the things are. Like, you've got this huge character here. His intro music is a wicked guitar solo, and he kind of sings there, and then he flexes, and you got little funny onomatopoeias here with the flex onomatopoeia. It's cute. It's in a good way, not like a Jeff the Baby Land Shark way, in a way that's like, this is why we love comics. This is fantastic. The art is unique, more comic strippy art, but I think it works for this. Here we go. There's more flex onomatopoeias right there. So yeah, it was really good. And if you're a wrestling fan, obviously you will enjoy this much, much more. But even if you're not, I think you can still enjoy it. And I like the Wrestle magazine type cover here. So that's by Kyle Starks. I'm very looking forward to this series. I've really enjoyed Kyle Starks last year. Looking forward to more from this. Number 2 of my reads to week, top 2, is Viking Moon issue 2. Fell a little bit behind on this one, but I picked up on it. And when I read this, I thought, okay, that's a different take on, if you hear about a book about Vikings and werewolves, you think it's just going to be a knockout slaughter fest, and it's not. This Viking actually starts by running away. And he has that little bit of existential crisis here. He's like, I'm a Viking. I'm supposed to fight. I have no fear. But he's like, but to fight better, I have to flee to warn my people, because if I die all on my own, there is no other fight to be had. So I thought that was very interesting. So the Viking character takes this in a direction almost like in another recent read, The Patriarch from Longbox Comics, in that a true warrior doesn't always go fisticuffs first. They sometimes have to use their brain, and they sometimes have to talk their way. And so the Viking realizes, like, if we're going to defeat these beasts, I have to flee. And when he comes to the village, I thought he was going to say, hey, we have to pack up and move because there's werewolves here and we can't stay here. But no, he's actually like, look, this place is where we need to be, but we have to fight the supernatural wisely. And so actually they do take up arms and they do go to fight the werewolves, or at least they make their way to do that, I'm assuming, in the next episode. So I thought it was very interesting the way that kind of situation was handled, and it really surprised me. And the more I thought about it after I read it, the more I was like, wow, that is just fantastic writing. So good job. Viking Moon number 2 by Joe Pruitt and Marcelo Frusin. And my top read of the week, I was not in a rush to read it because these are coming out not even quarterly. I think they're coming out like every 4 months. This is Planet Death, issue 2 by Robert Venditti and Kolstad. I don't know who the first name, I'll find it later. By Kolstad, Venditti, Jorello, and Go. Wow, first of all, I love this recap page. This recap page is all you need to see. Destroy the weapon, return home. Like, as soon as I read this, I was like, yeah, I know where we are here. And wow. Best action I've read. I know it's only January, whatever. Best action comic I've read all year. Lots of emotions with so little words spoken. You've got the main character stranded on the planet by himself. The aliens are kind of scared of the man as well, but also maybe they realize that he's attracting bad things as well. You get these mini flashbacks to his family. So like the warmth of the candle reminds him of the warmth of his fireplace, and he has to think about home to get the urge to continue to fight like for home. And that's actually like, if you've ever taken a self-defense class, the first thing they say is you have to remember what you're fighting for. You have to remember why you're fighting to live, kind of thing. So I thought that was a great little memory there. And so just amazing action, wonderful emotions that are just displayed in so few words. And I'll just go to one more page here. He comes across another warrior. The warrior too is like, I have to destroy the weapon and get home. And he's thinking about his family, and he's obviously not going to make it. So just a lot of emotion there. as the main character has to fight for this man's family as well. And he says, I'm going to remember their names. I'm going to remember who they are. And just, it was absolutely moving and just a wonderful, wonderful book. It's great action. Also, I think if you've been on this planet longer, you see all the emotion and all the things that this guy's fighting for. You're just rooting for this guy. And if he does not make it, I'm going to be just totally heartbroken. But that's Planet Death issue 2. That's my pick of the week.
So there you have it, my top 3 with Planet Death. If I had read this last year, I would have named it one of the best of the year. But already in 2026, man, this series, I cannot wait for the next issue. League of Comic Geeks says it's coming out in May. It's tough to wait so long between issues, but when it's an issue as good as Planet Death, I think it's worth the wait. What do you think? Should they do it all at once and then release it monthly like they're doing with Skin Breakers, where they have it all done? It's beautiful art, it's beautiful writing, and that's just releasing every month. Or should they do it like Planet Death and just release it as it gets done? And yeah, you're going to have to wait a few months in between. I'd be interested to know what you prefer. Thank you guys for watching. Subscribe if you want more comic book content as well, and I will see y'all in the next video. Adios.